So welding on a car hood, huh?
We had a hole right here, and you can see where I ground it down, but there's like a hole and you fill it in with molten metal.
So this is a welding spoon, and when you're welding some thin metal like this, if you have a hole or some form of gash or something and you need to fill it with weld, you can use this welding spoon and put it underneath it, and when you're welding it just kind of like keeps all the molten material at the top instead of like dripping down, so you'll have a cleaner bottom and it's easier to grind off the top, and it overall helps the heat distribution and it makes your weld look a lot cleaner.
And you take this and you stick it to the back side, and the metal will pour almost like you're pouring the metal into the hole, and you can kind of fill it in with your welder. It's really neat.
So this is the one we started with, huh? Without the welding spoon. And it was ugly, and we had a lot of sagging of the molten metal, and the wire kept poking through, and it was pretty ugly. And here's yours using the welding spoon. So it's it'd be a lot easier to clean up later with the grinder.
It's a little dip where this thing's sticks in.
The underside, at the very end I had to just fill the hole a little bit more with weld, but besides that, like, it's better than not using a spoon at all. It'd be pretty clean to grind down, and if you had to, if there's still a couple pinholes, you could re-weld it and fill it and grind it down again.
Nice.
So it's nice and smooth.
Cool.
Nothing never happened.
Nice, exactly. Like nothing ever happened. Then we can give this hood back to wherever it came from.
Yeah.
So one thing I forgot to mention with the welding spoon is it also helps retain the shielding gas on this side of the metal. So on our cut or our hole, with this being held underneath, say I'm underneath this cut here, the CO2 that our MIG gun is putting out here will stay. It won't just go through the hole and then escape. It'll be trapped, with the copper spoon. It helps the whole weld be shielded more instead of the gas just escaping. Nice.
I got a little toasty.
Yeah.
At the end, it like just panicked. I just ripped off my glove because it like started burning.
I really think the plasma cutting is a very amazing way of cutting metal, because unlike with like a acetylene torch or something like that, when you're cutting you never run out of air, and as long as you have electricity you can cut. It's pretty cool because you don't have to worry about running out of gas for it, and also the cuts take a lot less time to cool down than they do with acetylene torch.
Plasma cutter over there. If you're cutting metal, you want to make sure you have like a flat piece of metal to go along, so your cut's nice and straight. Like you can see the straight, semi-straight line on either side of this right here. So it just makes it a lot neater.
Compared to the first one I did freehand, that is not exactly straight.
Yeah.
think it's pretty cool being able to weld with like a battery, just taking a few of them and putting them in series, and kind of using stuff you might have in your car already to weld something back together. If I had known that before I had a welder, I would definitely have tried that, and probably would have gotten killed doing it, but I'd be careful. So
this is battery welding. Nice.
Eats it up pretty quick.
Yeah, it does. Let's see how many amps it's pulling. So 250 amps is the most I saw. Versatile right up front on.
So with welding off the grid, you could either go two ways. You could go makeshift stick welding or arc welding, or you could go with battery powered, like official off the grid MIG welder, like this one.
So this is off-grid welding with a MIG. As you can see, it's not plugged into the wall. Standalone unit. No external power, just 12-volt batteries inside the machine. Flux core wire. One important thing when you're switching over to, if you're running a wire feed welder with flux core wire instead of solid wire, obviously I just left the gas turned off. I could have taken the hose off the machine, but I just turned it off at the cylinder. So you'll switch over to your hollow core wire, then you have to switch your polarity. So this style, the chart here says this is for flux core, and that arrangement is for solid wire. And then you switch the roller wheel over to, usually you end up using a grooved slot instead of a smooth slot there for hollow core. And then I have found that putting a little piece of paper towel with a clip like this around the wire, see all the junk that collected? That was on the wire. You can see there's a little bit of white crud on the wire, just from being in storage and stuff. So wrapping a little piece of paper towel around there with a clip, don't put it on tight, but it should be on there just so it can pretty easily slide back and forth. It's hard to do one-handed, but basically get it so it's it'll slide back and forth pretty easily, but is still wrapped on the wire. So that way, as the wire spools through, it'll wipe it automatically, and you won't end up with all that junk going into your liner and clogging it up, so you have to change it.